the mental health show for entrepreneurs. Hosted by Tim Wagner. Exclusive to Corp Radio. Tuned to the business frequency.
Why is it that burnout seems to be the latest badge of honor to wear? We say that burnout is caused by overwork, by not having enough rest, not being happy in your purpose of life, marrying the wrong partner. But too often we only hear people speaking about the problem with very little practical solutions on how to avoid burnout. Now, so me, I'm a solutions guy. And if you've ever found me finding a solution, I'm going to keep doing it because either there's a solution to the problem or the problem doesn't exist. And if I haven't found the solution, perhaps I haven't looked hard enough. And that was my story when I hit burnout many, many years ago in 2018. I wanted to find out what the hell was going on. So what if I could show you a solution that I discovered that'll help your stressed mind and only take 60 seconds to calm it? You can do it anytime, anywhere. But you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to participate. You're going to have to really turn up in order for this to work. So let's actually play a little bit right at the beginning. I want to shake things up. But for this, participation is mandatory. So when I do this in live talks with an audience, I can actually see them. But now I'm going to have to use my imagination that you're actually playing along. So if I speak to you directly, and yep, the balding guy there with the blue shirt, you're going to need to put your phone down for this and listen in. And for the lady who's driving her car, keep your eyes on the road. You're going to have to play with this one later on. So for what I'm going to do now is ask you to hold your right hand up 10 centimeters in front of your nose. When you tilt your head up a little bit, so you're looking up into the sky, and pinch your thumb and forefinger together, imagining that you're holding a beautiful feather between your digits. What color is it? Pink flamingo one or a beautiful white dove feather. So imagine that feather in your fingers, and I'm going to count you in from 3 to 1, and I want you to take a deep breath in, and then I'm going to ask you to let your breath out through your mouth. You're going to let go of that feather, and you're going to be blowing short, sharp breaths in and out your mouth for 30 seconds, imagining that you're keeping that feather floating in the sky. We ready to do this? All right, let's go. Hand 10 centimeters in front. Pinching that feather, and 3, 2, 1, deep breath in and let go and blow. Deep breaths in and out your belly. Make sure that you're in and out your mouth and you're inflating your belly and you're keeping that feather going. Come on, blow it up, blow it up. Keep going. If you're feeling lightheaded, that's perfectly normal. You're not going to faint. That's why you don't do this while driving, lady. Keep blowing. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. Keep going. We've got 5 seconds to go. And take a deep breath in through your mouth, lifting your arms. And a big sigh. Let it all go and drop your arms down. Amazing. Well done. Congratulations. For you've just cleared out all that stale oxygen sitting in the bottom part of your lungs, and you've opened up your blood vessels and you've hyper-oxygenated yourself. And if you're feeling a little bit lightheaded, that's also pretty cool, right? It's going to pass for a moment. Now, I've also got your full attention. And this is why we're here today. I want to give you practical tools that you can use to regulate your body, mind, and spirit, all of which helps with mental health. Because let's be honest, the worries that you had 30 seconds ago, are they still there? Or is your brain actually busy doing something else now? But if you didn't play along, then expect nothing to change in your emotional, stressed out, messed up world. Because when I first found out about this breathwork stuff, that I was claimed to regulate my nervous system and calm myself when stressed or anxious and overwhelmed, I wanted to practice it and go, could this actually do what they were stating it does? Now, I couldn't understand at the same time how after 30 years in business, no one had ever taught me this. So I'm going to guide you through what I've learned. And if I have caught your attention, please listen to my previous podcast. It may just blow your mind and feeds in wonderfully to what we're going to be sharing about today. Welcome to the Mental Wellness for Entrepreneurs podcast from Corp Radio. The show where we break the myths and we speak the unspoken words to help you stay sharp, focused, and resilient without burning out. My name's Tim Wagner, and what I'm sharing with you today discovered me a few years after I quit a 27-year career in hospitality, because at that point I was burning out. And most of my career has been centered around coaching and education within business. I started my own consultancy in 2008, and in 2016 I branched out into cryptocurrency trading and investing in gold and investments and silver, and was teaching about trading as well. I've been coaching on sales and networking skills for over 2 decades too. But in the last 5 years, due to my own personal challenges and health issues with myself and my family, I became drawn to breathwork and natural regenerative health protocols. And over the past few years, I've been helping people to reclaim control of their health and well-being without needing to rely on pharmaceutical drugs. And I remember when I first started to learn about health and well-being, I read a quote by Deepak Chopra, and he once said, "The biochemistry of the body is a product of our beliefs, our thoughts, and our emotions." I'm going to read that to you again. The biochemistry of the body is a product of our beliefs, our thoughts, and emotions. In other words, your background and experiences forms your beliefs, and a belief is merely a thought that you continue to have. So whether you believe that we live in a hostile or a friendly universe aligns with your thoughts and how you externally react to it, which is called life. And we react through anger or sadness or frustration or love or tears, which are our emotions. Now, all of these things influence how you feel physically. So does focusing only on your physical body result in good health? Or should you be focusing on your beliefs, your thoughts, and your emotions to regulate and balance your body? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, back in 2018, when I quit on the corporate world, I just quit cold turkey. I knew that something had to change in my life. I had no clue what burnout was. I actually didn't know what was happening, to be honest with you. What I did know was my mind was in a mess. I was only able to sleep a few hours a night because my mind just didn't go to sleep. Does that ring a bell? I was emotional. I was erratic. I was angry. I was frustrated most of the time. I believed I was in control when I actually wasn't. So I pushed harder. I worked longer. I shouted more. I just climbed in and thought the more I do, the better it's going to be. Well, it's not the case, is it? And that's, over the years, what led me to burning out and quitting. And it was years later, by complete default, that breathwork discovered me. See, I say breathwork discovered me because I didn't know breathing was a modality, so I couldn't go looking for it. I didn't know it existed. And I want to share with you the first thing that actually caught my attention. I read that when you are stressed or anxious, and you shut your mouth and breathe through your nose, it acts as a natural tranquilizer and calms your nervous system. Could it be actually that simple? Well, today we're going to try this out. After all, personal proof leads to belief. And I remember a few years after I started my new journey and I'd quit the corporate world and I was focusing on more on health and well-being, I was in a family gathering. In South Africa, we called it a braai. Overseas in Europe and the US, a barbecue. And my sister-in-law came to me and she said something and hit me quite hard. She says, "Tim, you're actually quite a nice guy." Now, when I told my wife about this later that evening, she said, "Yep, in the last few years, working the way that I had, I just never turned up to family gatherings. And when I did, I was so stressed, I was never present." She said, "You were not a nice guy." So I ask you, how would your relatives describe you today, if they were being honest? Are you a nice guy or gal? So today we're speaking about solutions. We know what the problem is. You are the living proof of the problem after all, right? Something I want to give you that you can use every day to help balance out your nervous system. Now, to understand these, Let's briefly chat about what happens physically when we're stressed and anxious. I want you to picture for a moment that you're standing on a crosswalk. You're about to step out into the road. You look left, you look right, you look left like a good Cub Scout or Girl Guide, and you don't see any cars. So as you step out, this car comes whizzing past you, seemingly popped out of nowhere. You jump back, you grab your bag and your jewels, and you, as this happens, you breathe fast in through your mouth. You're breathing in through your chest. Your blood pressure goes up. Your heartbeat goes up. You have activated what is called the sympathetic nervous system, or commonly known as fear, fight, flight zone. This is the amazing way that our bodies have been designed to react in a stressed or anxious state. But the problem is, we're living in a constant, permanent state of stress and anxiety 24/7. The car's gone, you calm and relax. Your body goes down into homeostasis, activation of our rest and digest. But society doesn't allow us to do that. And while we believe we can handle this constant amount of adrenaline and cortisol, which is rushing through our body, over time, your nervous system and your body's going to crash. Did you know that 25% of people who hit burnout are hospitalized with long-term life-threatening health issues? Now, perhaps that got your attention the way it caught mine. So, you've gathered by now that we're talking about breath work to regulate your nervous system and calm an overactive mind. But what is the ideal breath, you ask? That's a good question. How should I be breathing if the way I'm breathing now is actually wrong? See, when you breathe more consciously, you can prevent a lot of anxiety and overwhelmed sensations, which are the sensations holding you back from playing at a higher level consistently. And then, what happens if you understand a little bit more about the theory that goes on in your body? Or I should say, not the theory, but the practical side of what goes on in your body. So I want to share the theory with you. That would be the right way around. From this, you're going to understand why breathwork is the fastest growing, searched out natural health protocol in the internet in the past 10 years. So I'm going to be covering these in 3 clear sections for you today, so you can actually take something solid away. The same way as a client of mine had done, I think it was the earlier part of this year, 2026. So a few months ago, I'm in a shopping market, in a local supermarket, and this lady comes rushing up to me. She'd been a client of mine, and a huge smile on her face. And she told me how good she was feeling for the first time in so many years. Her name is Jodie Ann. And she'd been referred to me because she was struggling with a high amount of anxiety. Her brain was keeping her awake at night, and she felt permanently on edge. It's the type of tension that overwhelms and exhausts, but that good sleep, a weekend off, or a holiday never seems to fix. You come back in the same nervous state as when you went away. And she attended one of my talks and classes on conscious connected breathing. And what woke her up, what gave her the clarity and the change, was sticking to a basic process or protocol where she focused on her breath for 3 minutes a day for 4 weeks. Over time, that's enough to build a new habit. Now, can you spare 1 minute 3 times a day, in the morning, lunchtime, and evening, just to focus on your breathing? Well, after a couple of weeks, I think it wasn't even 4, it was perhaps only 2 or 3 weeks after this talk and the session that she did with me. And she was so pumped up. She sees me in the local supermarket, and I was at the end of the bread aisle. I'll never forget it. And I hear the screaming voice down the other side, "Mr. Tim, Mr. Tim." And she comes rushing down to me, huge smile on her face, and she says to me at the top of her voice, "It works." It really works. And I said to her, "Jodie Ann, what works?" She says, "Breathing. Breathing works." All these people were staring at me as they're waiting for their bread to be sliced or their bread roll to be served to them. She says, "I feel so much calmer and have more energy at the same time." That's why I do what I do. So I'm going to give you the same tools and the same information that I shared with Jodie Ann. But as I told her, these come with a guarantee. A guarantee that not following it, that not doing it, is going to give you the same state that you find yourself in now. That's the guarantee. Lack of participation, lack of results. Your choice. I shared earlier on with you that breathwork first discovered me in the most mysterious ways. I had no idea about this God-given power, and it fascinated me so much that I went to study it, and I continue to study it now as a transformational breathwork coach and guide, and it continues to absolutely excite me that I wonder why in 30 years of business, nobody had ever shared this with me. Let me give an example of what I'm talking about here, of breathing. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody who is shouting? Not a conversation, perhaps more of an argument, let's say. They're shouting and they're screaming at you and getting all irrational, and you're trying to have a rational conversation and reason with them, but you just can't get through. Or perhaps you've got children and your one child just seems to be throwing a tantrum and you shout, "Will you calm down?" Has it ever worked? No. Because it's physically not possible. See, your body reacts in amazing ways when you're stressed and anxious, or even angry, or having a tantrum. And it kicks into that fear, fight, flight state the same way as you jumping back away from the speeding car. What happens is it cuts the oxygen supply to your brain, the active conscious thinking brain. And it sends the oxygenated blood to your muscles, fear, fight, flight, so that your body can react in a state, but not logically think. You don't want to be standing by the side of the curb and stepping across and think for a second, here comes a speeding car, should I stand in its way or jump back? No, it's an involuntary reaction. So if you're trying to reason with an angry person or rationalize with a hyped up kid, you're wasting the energy because they don't physically have the oxygen in the brain to be able to do that. You're going to have to wait for them to calm down. But as a world where we're living in fear, fight, flight state, we are chronic overbreathers. Stress causes shallow breathing. Stress causes mouth breathing. Stress causes your heartbeat to go up. So one fuels the other. Your breathing fuels your stress, and your stress creates a worse breathing pattern. I'm going to share a statistic with you that comes from a 1980s study in America of 150 fatal heart attack victims. And it was found that 80% of them are chronic mouth breathers. Wow. There's a common, there's a common misconception that when we breathe faster, we get more air, so we get more oxygen. Now, yes, you may bring in more air through your mouth and you breathe faster, but you're breathing into the top part of your lungs, which is less oxygen. So what do you want more of? More air or more oxygen? More oxygen, right? So the ideal breather is breathing slow, deep breaths in and out their nose and into their belly. Imagine looking at a baby sleeping, a healthy baby sleeping. Calm, slow breath, belly going up and down, mouth closed in and out their nose. Commonly known as the ideal breath. I read a book a few years ago by a guy called Yogi Ramacharaka, and it was written in 1903. And he said in there, you don't eat through your nose, so don't breathe through your mouth. Powerful stuff, right? Because when you're controlling your breath, it allows you to control your life. And when you're controlling your life, you're controlling your destiny. And what we're talking about here is consciously connected breathing. This is basically a continuous flowing breath. One deep breath in leads to another deep breath, no pauses in between. And this is so important because in our busy days and our lives, which never seem to slow down, we rarely create that space to allow ourselves to center and calm. Because we're living in an information age, right? We're hardwired into our computers and our cell phones. We've got all these apps and emails and meetings and things throwing us information and data millions of times during the day. And this puts our nervous system on overdrive. Just trying to keep up and keep going means that we are stressed and overwhelmed, feeling frustrated, lost, and resulting to burnout. But few of us take the time to unplug. We say, I don't have the time to unplug. I don't have the time to go into nature. I will do that next weekend. Meditating, that's weird things. I simply can't be still. My mind doesn't calm down. Now, even if you've got a self-awareness practice or a meditation practice already in place, breathing is going to help amplify that. This is the fast track to resetting your nervous system. And you've probably heard the saying, slow down to speed up. It's exactly what we're talking about. So in 60 seconds, you can reconnect to your breath, and all of that will change. Think of it like a massage to your nervous system, so to say. And this is also why breath work is seen and researched as one of the highest Google searched modalities in health and well-being, and really made very popular by Dr. Joe Dispenza and the Iceman Wim Hof, where people and scientists have done studies in what they're doing, proving the power of breath work. So let's breathe together for 60 seconds. This breath work is called the resonant breath, and I really want you to play along. Now, you can do this whether you're driving, whether you're working, whether you're standing in line, or you're about to do a presentation and you're sitting there with a dry mouth and you can't even remember your own name, perhaps. You've experienced that before. Now, what we're going to be doing here is breathing in and out for 60 seconds. You're going to breathe into the count of 5 through your nose and the count of 5 out through your mouth. And you're going to listen in and breathe with me as I'm talking to you. I'm going to count you in from 3 to 1. You're going to let out all your breath, and you're going to breathe in through your nose. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Breathe in through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out through your mouth. Pursed lips. 2, 3, 4, 5. In through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in through your nose. Keep counting. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. How do you feel? Calmer? More connected? See, what you've done is reduced your amount of breaths that you're taking from 12 to 15 or 16 or even 18. The more stressed you are, the more breathing you'd have. You've reduced it to only 6. And you feel good, don't you? You're not feeling breath hungry. You're feeling calmer, clearer. That's the power of a conscious, connected breath. In fact, what you've just done is manipulated your autonomic nervous system. And this is an essential part of mental well-being, is slowing down. We breathe 20 to 25,000 times a day, and yet very rarely are we actually thinking about it. So when you slow down for 3 minutes a day, like Jody Ann did, 1 minute in the morning, 1 in the lunchtime, 1 in the evening, and you consciously connect to manipulate your breath, you're manipulating your autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is everything that your body does naturally and automatically without you thinking. Your heartbeat, your blood pressure, your digestion, your body temperature, and unless you're thinking about it, even your breathing. Just think about it for a moment. Can you manipulate your heartbeat? No. Can you manipulate your sweat glands? No. What about your bowel movements? Unlikely. Can you manipulate your breath? Your breathing is the only part of your ANS, your autonomic nervous system, that you have complete control over, and that can entirely change your state. It can lift you up and awaken you, and it can calm you down. It can even kill you. But I'm going to share with you one most important takeaways from our session here today. It was one of the first things that I've learned. Shut your mouth and breathe through your nose when you're stressed and anxious. And I say that with all love and respect for you. See, our bodies are not designed to remain in a constant stress state for long periods of time. So you need tools to help you. And it's these tools that we're unpacking together in the next couple of weeks in Corp Radio. Jodie Ann was living in a stress state, and until we connected, she'd never understood that she was actually the cause of her stress, not the external world, not the work, not her family, not the economy. Those external stresses you have no influence over. But what Jodie Ann learned, just as you've done, is that she can change how she emotionally reacts to the external circumstances, purely by being more consciously connected to her breath. Is it that simple? Well, yes and no, because we're complex beings. Just breathing on its own is not necessarily enough. See, as a human being, the human part is the physical part. The being part is your essence, your personality, your thoughts, your values, the things that make you who you are. So when you're focusing on your being part, it influences your physical human part, but they're combined. Breathwork is one great tool and modality in helping with better mental health and well-being. And in future episodes, we're going to be exploring further practical solutions for mental resilience, and also how you can unpack these and share them with your team. After all, the information I'm giving to you mustn't be kept for yourself, for it only becomes wisdom when it's applied knowledge. And understand stress and anxiety are merely emotional reactions to external stresses. And when you change how you react to these stresses, they become a normal part of your day, no longer causing you anxiety. Because mental health is nothing more than taking care of yourself now before you're forced to. So remember the one key takeaway from today. What was it? Yeah, that's right. Shut your mouth and breathe through your nose. So until our paths cross again, my name's Tim Wagner, and my last message to you is, today is your day.